Hi everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to do a prenatal yoga class. It's going to be a little more gentle, a little more yin based. I do have some props here. I have a couple of yoga blocks. Lots of folks have yoga blocks. If you don't worry about it. And I also have a bolster. So right now, if you're like, oh, I don't have any of those things, just pause this video, go grab some pillows. I find beach towels work really well because they're really strong. You can really stack those up. And if, like me, you are so fortunate to have a wonderful furry friend join you for yoga, I'm going to have to compete with him to get space on the mat. And that's okay. We'll see how that goes. So once you've got your props, we'll come to sitting on the mat and just have the props nearby. And I'm going to sit in front of him and hope he yields and gives me a little more space. Oh, there he goes. Okay. We'll go ahead and start in a comfortable sitting position. If you'd like, you can softly close your eyes. If you'd like, you can begin to breathe in and out through the nose. Sometimes in pregnancy, that can be quite challenging. So if it's better to breathe using your mouth, of course, do that. And then taking a moment, we could bring one hand to the bottom of the belly, one hand to the top. Think about giving your baby a sweet hug. Wherever you're at in your pregnancy, maybe you're at the beginning, maybe you're really close to delivery. Let that baby know that they're in a good spot. Everything is going to be wonderful. When you are calm, so is your baby. So taking these first few moments, breathing, relaxing together, welcoming baby into this practice. As we open the eyes, let's go ahead and keep our right leg as it is, bending into that left knee. We'll bring that left knee to the sole of the right foot. I'll take my right hand onto the floor, left hand can come onto my left hip. I'm going to gently lift and lower. This is that category of yoga shapes that look funny, feel good. This is a very gentle way to get into the hips. So if your hips were feeling a little bit tight, and in pregnancy we tend to be a little more open simply because of a hormone called relaxin that's in the body. So it may be that your hips were tight, but now they're feeling nice and open. And then as that hip comes down, take an inhale, nice tall spine. As we exhale, imagine the heart leading. So if I let my chin lead, I would look like this. If I let my heart lead, it looks like this. And just bringing both hands onto the mat. We're finding a very gentle twist here. Twists in prenatal tend to be gentler, and especially when we are just starting a practice, we don't need to be doing anything too intense. And twists remind us to release and let go. So whatever you had to do to carve out this time for yourself, or whatever else you have to do, we're just going to let it go. Inhale, let's come back to center. Hands are going to come beside the hips and extend those legs forward. Feet are wider than hip distance, so a small V that we're making here. And then go ahead and rotate your ankles. If it feels better to sit with hands on the thighs, you can do that. And reverse. And just shake it out. Second side, I'll start by bending into my left leg, and then I can bring that right knee to the sole of my left foot. Left hand near my hip, right hand on my right hip, and gently lift and lower. And again, if you've got any tightness, this side is actually tight, the other side wasn't. So it's just going to help to release that. And as that hip comes down, inhale, nice tall spine. Exhale, heart leads, hands come down outside that left leg. We're just finding that very gentle twist. And then inhale back to center. Once again, take a moment, extend the legs. This time think of the legs being in a wider V, but keep it gentle. I'm not pushing myself into this. Clasping the hands. Imagine you were stirring a very large pot of food. Welcome your furry friend into the practice. Before I stir the other way, opposite thumb on top, and then we'll reverse. And as I come back to center, once again, I'm going to sit with my legs crossed. And notice which leg you want to put in front. Put your non-habitual leg in the front. Sit up nice and tall. Rotating through the neck, we'll do chin to chest, ear to shoulder, head goes back. Slow and easy. And then reverse opposite direction. And as you're ready, drawing that head back up to center, we're bringing the soles of the feet together, so maybe you can kind of see my feet on the ground here. Sorry, Marley is very insistent on a little bit of attention right now. What I want to do is find a forward fold, and this is where our props can start to come in. So you could use your dog, resting your head on your dog. You could also take blocks or your bolster and maybe prop them up. Can I use this space, please? Thank you. So if I was using the blocks and the bolster, I'd probably bring my blocks right inside my legs like this and rest that bolster on top, and it's also on my feet. From here, I've got my hands on this. Again, I'm coming forward with my heart, and I could make a couple of soft fists to rest my head down. I could maybe rest my head all the way down. Just finding a relaxation that's comfortable here. Now, your range of motion will be different depending on how far along you are in your pregnancy. I'm not pregnant, so this is easier for me to come forward, but definitely using the props, finding a forward fold that allows you to relax, whatever that looks like. And as you're ready, bring yourself back up. Okay, that felt so nice for me. I almost forgot I was teaching there for a moment. And we'll put these props off to the side. Let's come on to our hands and knees. Think of the knees underneath the hips. Perhaps my shoulder, elbow, wrist come into one line. My hand could always be a little forward as well. Finding our cat-cow as I inhale, belly drops. Back of the head and the tailbone go high. And as I exhale, tuck chin, tuck tailbone, round that back to the sky. Inhale, drop. Exhale, round. So think of the tailbone driving this. I don't even have to move my head. Sometimes in cat-cow, you'll see folks bringing their head way up. It's really the tailbone that we want to be doing the motion here. And after you do cat one last time, let's go ahead and extend our right toes back, and they're tucked. And I'm going to press back. So this is going to be a back body stretch. That extended leg is going to get a stretch here. And if your wrists are cranky, you could always do this on your forearms. Doesn't matter if the hands are down or the forearms, it's going to feel the same. As you're ready, roll on to the tip of that big toe, and you could roll to the outer blade of the foot and then the inner blade. And for me, when I roll to the outer blade, I tend to drop my hip towards the side I'm rolling to. Just back and forth. Either forearms or hands on the mat. And after you do the inner blade one more time, for this one we will definitely be on the forearms. Let's go ahead and bring that left hand under the nose. Plant the right foot. I'm going to spin myself around really quick so you can see me. And maybe that right arm reaches up. This is a version of Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. And then as we come back down, we're back on hands and knees. And once again, finding those cat-cows, adjusting, holding. For me, I always need to hold that cow shape a little longer. And once again, we'll extend our leg behind. This time it's the left leg. I'm going to turn around just so I don't turn my back on you. Tuck the toes, press back with that heel, and just notice, wow, I mean, this is a big difference. This side's a lot tighter on me. I've got my hands down, but remember, we could do forearms down. And as you're ready, coming on to the tip of that big toe, outer blade, maybe hip drops, inner blade, back and forth. Still working on the hips. Now, if you are very flexible when you're not pregnant, and now you're like, wow, I'm so flexible, do not go to the full range of your motion. Stop somewhere between halfway and 50 to 75% of what you can do. And then we'll come back. I'm going to plant that left foot, right hand underneath my nose, left arm can reach, Ardha Chandrasana. So we are more flexible when we're pregnant, but we don't need to push ourselves to a point where we can actually overstretch. And then as you're ready, bringing that left hand down, left knee down. Let's tuck the toes, walk our hands back towards our knees, and lift those knees, and you're in a little froggy squat. Hands can stay down. You could also bring your hands up to your heart if you wanted to try and balance. And just to be aware, balancing changes dramatically during pregnancy, sometimes day to day. So this can be a great place to work, and I can tell my body's like, just work right here today. We're good. It's giving one of my feet a really nice stretch. And as you're ready, hands to the mat, straighten into those legs. Step your feet as wide as you need to accommodate your belly. You're perfect exactly where you are. And maybe hands or fingers come to the floor. Maybe it feels better to bend the knees and rest my elbows above the knees. If you have blocks or a big stack of blankets or beach towels, you could always bring your hands to the blocks. Take a moment here. And take a moment, gently shake your head no. And gently nod your head yes. As that head stops moving, let's go ahead and bend into the knees, hands on the hips, and we'll roll ourselves up. So you're probably at the back of your mat. I came center just so it was a little easier to see me. Let's inhale our arms up. I'll take my left hand to my right wrist, open up the right side. Side bends give you a little more space to breathe. When you're pregnant, that baby's gonna take all that space. So we'll give yourself just a little more space and then your baby will take it. That's okay, that's what they're supposed to do. Back to center, reverse the clasp of the hands, open the left side. And go ahead, come back to center, hands to prayer, prayer to the heart. We're gonna find a very gentle back bend. So I would recommend bringing both hands onto the low back. And then think of pelvis forward, heart lifts, and just gentle. So forward folds calm us down. Side bends give us more space to breathe. Twists remind us to release and let go, and back bends are energizing. And everything in pregnancy we're gonna do a little more gently. And then coming back to standing. Let's go ahead, if you're not at the back of the mat, find your way there. I'm gonna move these blocks out of the way. So from the back of the mat, I've got my hands on my hips, stepping my right foot forward, plant that left foot out at an angle. Think of the hips being square to the front, arms can reach. This is warrior one. From here, hands to the heart, lift that back heel. So I'm just going to pivot onto the ball of my left foot. Now I'm in crescent. And again, I could bring my arms up. Once again, hands to the heart. This time I'm going to bring that heel back down and I'm turning so that I'm facing the long edge of my mat. And just adjust your feet as you need to. I want toes out, heels in for this next one. Hands can come onto the hips. We're gonna drop straight down. So resisting the urge to do this, think of just going straight down. And again, if your hips are a little cranky, rock it out. This is goddess. You know, let's change it. We can make this deity so it's not gendered. I'm gonna start calling this deity pose. Breathe here. And then as we're ready, press to straight. I'm gonna turn my right heel back, my left toes forward until I can lift that back heel. And now I'm in crescent. Arms will come back to my heart. I'm going to go ahead and plant that back heel. I'm in warrior one. And again, hands to the heart, bringing those feet. We're just going to heel toe them. This one's different. This time will be toes in, heels out, heart leads, forward fold. So I come forward and I've got a lot of choices here. bending the knees, hands to the floor or blocks. The only important thing in a forward fold is that I relax my head and neck. So I'm taking a moment here, breathing. And then gently bending into the knees. Let's go ahead and bring your hands down. Walk your hands to the right foot, right toes forward, left heel lifts, left knee down. And I'm in a lunge. So from lunge, for me, the most accessible is always to be upright with my hands on that thigh. To come into deeper variations, hands can come to the mat, to blocks. I could increase the distance between my front heel and my back knee. Anything that works for you today. I also often like to roll onto the outer blade of my front foot. I'm just taking some breaths here. And I do love lunges when I'm teaching a prenatal class. And this is prenatal gentle. And we definitely are focused on getting into the hips and letting go of any tension we may have in the hips. So if I can breathe calmly through lunges, and when I teach classes in prenatal, I often hold lunges for about 2.5 minutes on each side. And if I can breathe through that, then when I'm in labor, I can think about how do I use my breath to get through a challenging situation. Because labor is not one constant challenging situation. There's a contraction and then a break. So you just have to say, okay, I'm just going to get through this contraction. And not worrying about how many contractions do I have? Nobody knows, right? So we just say, okay, right now I'm having a contraction. I'm going to breathe through that. And then when that contraction's done, I'll rest, and then we'll see what comes next. So taking a few moments here, let yourself breathe any shape you'd like. As we're ready to change to the other side, bringing those hands, for me, I like to bring my hands onto the mat. That front leg may slide back. If it's too far forward to slide back, I simply heel toe it out to the side, and then I'll slide back. And take a moment here and notice cat-cow, hips and shoulders towards each other, circling. Anything at all that feels good. Knees can be wide here. And as we're ready, coming back, finding lunge on the second side. I'm going to step my left foot forward and then start to play with the placement of blocks, hands, front foot, back knee. Giving myself permission to find anything that works for me, and especially permission to have it look and feel totally different side to side. So my hips are quite different. Today I can feel a bit of stiffness on this side with the leg forward, no problem. I feel great. So that's okay. That's okay. Maybe I have to be a little gentler with the side that's tight. Maybe I have to stretch a little more on that side. Taking a few moments here, breathing into this, and always giving yourself permission. If I came really deep into this and then wish I hadn't, I'll just back out. I'll change it. the choice I've made can always be adjusted. When you're ready to come out, again, I like to bring my hands to the mat, figure out how I'm going to bring that front foot back so that I'm on hands and knees. From here, big toes touch, knees as wide as the mat, sink back. I can bring my arms forward. Maybe my head comes down to the mat, and we're going to rest here for a few breaths. If this is not restful, take a seat just like we did at the beginning of class. If you're near a wall, you could always prop your back against the wall. As you're ready, bringing yourself back to hands and knees, we're going to use the bolster, or if you've got a stack of blankets or pillows, you're going to place that right in front of your knees, and as I come forward, my thighs will rest on this. So I walk myself forward, I'm going to scoot myself back just a touch. I hold on to make sure that stays under my thighs. And then we're in a back bend. So this is Cobra. I could also lower my elbows down to be in more of a Sphinx. And if you lower down into Sphinx and your baby is touching the ground and they don't like it, they'll kick you. So no worries there. This is just a way I found to explore back bends when you're pregnant. We have to keep it gentle. And obviously we come into a lot of back bends from laying on our stomach, which is not possible when you're pregnant. So taking a moment here, and again, I could do this with my arms straight. I'm choosing to bring my elbows down. That feels better for me right now. And as I come out of this, knees down, I'm going to walk myself back. And we'll do that a second time, but first let's go ahead and tuck our toes and sit back, hips to heels. So this is to stretch the soles of the feet. Back is nice and tall. This is also going to work the thighs and the hips. And if your toes said no thank you to this, keep the top of your feet on the mat. I always have to adjust the toes on this foot. They don't like this one. They don't like to participate. They want to sit it out. As you're ready, once again, come to hands and knees, untuck your toes, tap, 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 let that go. Second side, bring this in, second set, and once again, find a back bend. So this one I'll do with my arms straight. This can be pretty intense on the front body. So again, if your body's like, oh, that's too much, just bring those elbows back down. Breathe here. As you're ready, if your arms are straight, gentle bend to walk those hands back. This time, come back. We're going to again sit hips to heels. You can push that bolster or your blankets out of the way and just take a moment sitting right like this. Think of that spine being tall. Again, if you'd like, one hand to the top, one hand to the bottom of the belly, check in. Just notice. How's baby doing? What does the baby think of this practice? In my experience, babies like yoga, both before and after birth. And let's go ahead and release. Grabbing a drink of water if you'd like. Important to stay hydrated in pregnancy, so if you need a drink, let's go ahead and do that. And then as you're ready, let's come back to hands and knees, extending our right arm forward. Our left leg could go back with toes tucked, or we could lift. So this is going to work the core. And I'm working to have both my leg and my arm coming straight out. So it's easier to drop things down, just making that a goal. And then as I'm ready, right hand down, left knee down. Take a breath. Second side, left arm, thumb is pointing to the sky. Right leg extends. I've got that foot flexed. And then as I release, left hand down, right knee down. I'm turning just so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to take our right hand, still on my hands and knees, turn those fingers out to the side, or maybe turn the fingers to face my knee. So I'm looking for a stretch on the forearm. Carpal tunnel is more common in pregnancy, and if you don't get a stretch doing this, you could always sit back a little, hips to heels. So we have more blood volume when we're pregnant, and that is going to potentially, not guaranteed, but potentially impinge on the nerves inside that wrist. And then we'll go ahead and turn that right hand back around. Take a moment again, sit back, shake it out. And if sitting back isn't agreeable, stand up on the knees. Second side, we're going to come back to hands and knees, left fingers to the side or towards the knee. Big stretch. One side's probably going to be tighter than the other. It certainly is on me. This side's a lot tighter. Again, you could always sit back, but keeping in mind that we don't need to push our flexibility in pregnancy. So if it's easy to do this, easy to sit back, maybe just go to 50% of your most intense stretch here. Notice how you're breathing. So if I ever get to a situation where I'm holding my breath, that is my body's way of saying, this is too much. And then turning that hand back around. Again, either sitting back, shaking it out, or standing up on the knees. Just shake it off, let it go. Let's all stand up on the knees. And right from here, I'll extend my right leg out to the side. My foot's going to plant. Right hand can rest on that thigh. It could also, if it came all the way down to my shin, but please not on the knee. Left arm next to the ear, open that left side. So this is strong. I don't want to push on my knee. And really, I'm just using my hand as a little kickstand. And then we're going to flip. So I'm going to take left hand to left thigh, right arm up, open the right side. Inhale, center, both hands down. What I'm looking for here is a stretch on that inner thigh. So you may be there. This may be your stretch right here. If you're not feeling anything, you can lower your elbows down. Wherever you are, let that head and neck relax. And as you bring your hands to the mat, press up, bring that right knee in, return to standing on the knees. So this next one, we'll do the other side in just a moment, but this next one is again in the category of looks funny, feels good. Find that rotation. Maybe you're just at home, no one's gonna see, go ahead and notice. Rotating feels pretty nice. And then reverse. So I often think of having moms in labor with maybe their forearms resting on a counter, finding this little rotation and come back up to standing on the knees. I am a labor and delivery nurse by training, and moving your pelvis all those directions makes me think of giving that baby infinite chances, like, oh, okay, this is how I'm gonna get my head down, or maybe it's over here, and it just keeps opening the pelvis and moving things around. So just think about it when you're in labor. You do you in labor, whatever you need to do to get through labor and get to a happy, healthy outcome for you and your baby. Doesn't matter what anybody else says or thinks. Once again, hands to the hips, left leg extends, plant that left foot. I'm gonna take my left hand onto my thigh, right arm next to my ear, open up. And reverse, right hand to right thigh, left arm up, open up the second side. Inhale, center, both hands are going to come to the floor, looking for that stretch on my inner thigh on my left side. So maybe I'm there, I want to explore coming a little deeper, I could lower my elbows down. Hands come back to the mat, back to straight arms. Draw that left knee in. And we should be near the back of the mat for this next little movement. So once again, I'm going to tuck my toes, walk my hands back, knees will lift, and I'm in a little froggy squat right here. Last time I offered, releasing hands to the heart, checking in if that feels like a balance that your body's going to support. Feet are really strong. First time we came into this, my body said, no thanks. This time it said, okay. And as hands come to the mat, knees go to straight, placing those feet a comfortable distance to accommodate your baby. Opposite hand to opposite elbow, and sway it out side to side. And as you come back to center, hands come onto the hips. Let's go ahead and roll ourselves up. We're going to find warrior two right from here. So probably the easiest way to do that is simply to step this right foot forward, and then I can plant that left foot behind me. My front heel lines up with my back arch. Once I'm here, think of that heart, chest being nice and open, arms out like wings, bend into that front knee. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and flip that right palm to the sky, left palm to left thigh, peaceful warrior. From here, left hand is going to find the right wrist, front knee goes to straight as we draw ourselves back. This is archer. As I release both hands, I'm going to tilt my left hip back, right hand can come anywhere on the right leg, left arm can go to the sky, or this hand could be on the hip. So when I say this hand can be anywhere on the leg, as long as my chest stays open, I can bring this hand down. If I start to close off, hand should come back up. Breathe here. From here, gentle bend in the right knee, forearm to the knee. And again, maybe that arm is up or even over my head. Could also stay on the hip. Any way you can get there, back to warrior two, hands to the hips. Remember, we're going to call it deity pose now. So I'm going to do toes out, heels in, and I'm going straight down. I'm not dropping forward. And if coming straight down means 1 inch, I'm going to work right there. Maybe my hands come to the heart, and down I go. Breathe here. Check in with the toes. Make sure you're not hanging on for dear life. Big push to straight. Hands on the hips. We're going to repeat that sequence. This time I'm going to let my right heel go back, left toes go forward. My left heel lines up with my right arch. Chest is open, arms are out like wings, front knee bends. Warrior two. Left palm to the sky, right palm to right thigh. Peaceful warrior. Gaze can be up, straight ahead, or even down. And as that right hand comes to the left wrist, we're going to draw ourselves into archer. Releasing. Both arms and legs are straight. Right hip tilts back. Left hand can come anywhere on this leg. Right arm can reach. It could also stay on the hip. Just notice, arm up, arm down. No change to the shape, right? The arm isn't really doing anything here. Gentle bend in that left knee, forearm to knee, arm up, overhead. Could also stay on the hip. And once again, as you're ready, we find our warrior two. Hands on the hips. This time let's do toes in, heels out. Let's all bend our knees, lead with the heart, and let those hands come down to the floor. So bending the knees as much as we need to. Sometimes when you do this, the muscles in your legs are going to shake a little bit. If you don't want your muscles to shake, you could straighten your legs and bring hands back to the hips. You could also walk your hands forward just a little bit. So shaking is really just a release of tension. My legs are shaking just a little bit here. And this time, as I'm ready, I'll walk my hands back in, transitioning so that my heels come in, my toes come out. Let's find our way to Malasana, squat. So for me, I'm actually going to come up for a moment, grab my blocks. You could do this with your stack of blankets or towels. And as I'm ready, I'm going to sit right down onto the blocks. So some of you can do this with no blocks or with one block. For me, it's much easier to do with blocks. Elbows in, think of pressing those thighs out to the side. So we all have different range of motion that comes easy to us. This particular shape is challenging for me. I've practiced yoga for 20 years. I can do this shape with my feet on the ground, but yowza yowza, is that quite a stretch for me. So I use the blocks, get the benefits that way. So from here, go ahead and release, and let's, if you're on blocks, bring one knee to the floor so that you can simply lift up, and we're all going to meet sitting. If you were in a squat, you can just lower down into a sitting shape, keeping that left leg extended out to the side, sole of the right foot to the inside. Now for me, we're going to fold forward over this leg. You could absolutely place blocks to catch your arms, or pillows, blankets, towels. I like to bend into that knee. That feels better for me. We'll take an inhale to be tall. As I exhale, I'm turning and I'm thinking heart towards knee. And then maybe my arms are coming here. Again, this is a forward fold, so I'm working to relax my head and neck. And when you're ready, carefully bring yourself back up. Put those blocks off to the side for a moment, bending into that left knee and bringing it to the sole of the right foot, just like we did at the beginning of class. I've got my right hand near my right hip, left hand on my left hip. We're going to do the same motion but slower. So as I inhale, I lift. I'm going to look over my right shoulder, and then I'll come back to center and look over the left. So gently back and forth like this. Just giving yourself some gentle range of motion here. Last one. And as I come back to center, maybe bringing, if you're using a bolster or you've got a stack, bringing that to your right side. Inhale to be tall. Exhale, turn. If I'd like, forearms can come to rest on the bolster. So still twisting a little bit deeper this time because I have my forearms down instead of my hands. If that's not agreeable, of course, we'd come back to hands. Breathing into this shape. Starting to cool down, starting to let go. And then as you're ready, bringing yourself back to center, we'll extend the right leg, bringing the sole of the left foot to the inside. If you know you're going to set up and use the blocks, you could bring those blocks to either side. Inhale, starting with that tall spine. Exhale, and let that heart lead as we come forward. And again, you can bend into your knee. That actually feels better to me. I can come a little deeper when I bend into my knee. So just breathing into this shape, taking a moment here. Checking in with the breath, checking in with your baby, what you feel, what you think, what you experience, your baby is going to do the same. And of course, 9 months is a long time, so it's not like you can say, okay, I'm going to have an ideal 9 months where nothing is upsetting or worrisome. But when you can, you notice, oh, I can be calm. I can communicate to this baby, everything is okay. And then as you're ready, let's go ahead and bring ourselves up, moving those blocks off to the side, bending into that right knee, bringing it to the sole of the left foot. My right hand to my hip, left hand on the mat, finding those very slow movements. Let's go ahead and look over that left shoulder. Come back to center, look over the right, over the left, and center over the right. Side to side. One more. And coming back to center, and again, maybe grabbing that bolster, placing it outside the left leg. Inhale, tall spine. Exhale, heart's going to lead. I could bring my hands or my forearms down to the bolster or to the mat. Gentle twist. And then carefully bringing yourself back up. And we're going to set up for our final resting shape. If you've got a bolster and blocks, you could actually place one block on the second highest setting, one block on the lowest setting, and bring the bolster to rest on an angle. This can support your back. Legs, you could have knees bent or legs extended, and you could rest right here. Legs in any shape that feels good. If you don't have this set up, you could probably prop yourself up if you've got enough beach towels to do this. You just want your head higher than your hips. If it's better, you can always bring yourself against a wall, and you could place a beach towel underneath your knees just to keep the knees softly rounded. So anything that feels comfortable. I'm going to apologize in advance in case my dog decides this is the perfect time to start barking. Well, let's take about 5 minutes simply resting, relaxing. And as you rest and relax, take a moment to travel inside and see that beautiful baby. This baby is growing, changing every day. Just as you are getting ready to welcome this baby to your family, this baby is doing everything they need to be ready. They are growing fingernails, toenails, eyelashes, lungs. Their heart is beating. They practice swallowing. They practice breathing. Take a moment, again, check in, and then let's take a few minutes resting together. you are, gentle movement comes into fingers and toes. You could rotate wrists and ankles. And if you're sitting up, stay exactly where you are. If you're propped up on a bolster, you could roll to your left side. And then carefully, we all find our way back to a comfortable sitting shape. That might be legs crossed. If you've got the bolster under your knees, maybe you're going to stay exactly where you are. Bringing your hands together in prayer at the heart if you'd like, closing your eyes if you'd like. You are on a magical, mystical journey, one that we only take once, twice, maybe just a few times in our lives. Enjoy every moment, and thank you today for showing up, moving your body, and allowing yourself to take time to experience the wonder of this pregnancy. May you have a healthy, uncomplicated pregnancy and delivery. Namaste. Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I will be doing a few more prenatal recordings in the next couple of months, and I hope to see you again. Thank you. Bye-bye.